You're listening to Real Crime, the Movie Sleuth podcast.
Oh my God, that was my fault this time. I don't know, you may have heard me snort a little bit in the microphone during our lovely intro music here that I always bitch at people about making stupid noises during the bump-in music. And that was my fault this week. But I have an excuse.
You're sick as a dog.
Sick as a fucking dog.
Yeah, that's all.
I have not been healthy in one shape or form or another since St. Patrick's Day. I don't know what the deal is, whether it's my back or my head or now whatever the hell this disgusting phlegm-inducing dickhead virus is floating around my system right now. But we're here, and we got a really, really cool topic for this week, I think. It's going to be really neat.
Different.
I think my shit voice that I have this week will fit in with the mood of this topic, too.
Totally.
So I think, yeah, we're there. But first...
Speaking of shit voices.
Yeah, speaking of shit voices.
Yeah.
Chris!
Well, this is episode 115 of Real Crime.
Yes, it is.
We're getting back on our schedule a little bit here, so that's good. Last week was kind of different, too.
What the fuck happened last week?
Remember last week?
You guys just
Mara was sick.
Yeah.
You came over and we were like, oh, let's just smoke a
Well,
cigarette.
no,
and
the only reason I said that was I was already here because you're dumbass. Well, no, that was my fault because I left the house early. No, I left the house early because I wanted to go somewhere that closed early.
Yes.
And yeah, that was in that. Yeah, so that was totally.
Dude, I got so lucky last week. Chris literally caught me as I was getting on 696.
Yeah, that's what he said. And
like,
so
well,
I was
Good
already
word.
out here, and we just said, well, I'm like, well, I'm right here at Myers getting oranges, so I'm. Well, you got to do something with your free time,
Right.
So. We decided just to get together and do something. That was fun last week. We talked about the Amityville horror.
We talked about the
Conjuring. No, the
Yeah.
Lorraine.
What are they called?
Lorraine
What
Warren.
are those charlatans called?
I'm high right now. I'm high.
Ed and Lorraine Warren.
The Warrens.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Rest in peace. Respect to them.
Kinda.
So this week we're going to talk about the Motley Crue biopic on Netflix, The Dirt. But first we're going to jump into our sponsors. Got to mention Cellarman's. We mention them every week.
I was there on Friday.
Yeah, no wonder you're
Probably
sick.
why I'm sick now. Yeah. Thanks, Sellermans. You made me sick.
Aw.
You're welcome.
Excellent
You're
Scotch ale, though. They had a couple
Yeah.
of nice Scotch ales there. They have
Yeah.
it's excellent. Delicious.
Of course, the Flint Institute of Arts.
Of course.
Got to mention them.
They have my cot ready.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm ready to move in for the summer.
sweet.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then
Mara's shaking her head like,
Mara's like, these assholes, I quit. I quit. And then, of
Storming
course,
off.
projectorscreen.com. Check
Yes.
them out at www.projectorscreen.com.
No.
Yeah.
No, it can't be that easy.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to figure out.
It's almost as easy as Chris.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I didn't say that. That was the first mom joke in like a year and a half.
You said it about your own mom, too.
Yeah. I'm a bad person.
I want to go
are.
home.
Sorry, Mom. So in news this week, not really much going on. Vincent Cassell has just joined the cast of Westworld Season 3 on
That's gonna be
HBO.
awesome.
So that's pretty cool. He's a great character type actor.
He
Yeah.
is.
So he's joining Westworld Season 3. Chris Hemsworth today, they're saying, is going to stick on with the Marvel
Yep.
series for Phase 4.
Yep, at
But
least.
we're not doing any spoilers here, so I'm not going to say anything about it.
Yeah.
He's just staying on board.
Yep.
And then Endgame. Everybody's heard this is the biggest
They
box
made
o-
like $300 billion or something. What's that? What's
A
the
It
number?
billion
made-
dollar opening weekend.
It made $357 million domestically, and at the end of its first week in international release, it's already at $1.2 billion.
That's completely ridiculous.
That's insanity. Insanity.
That's just crazy.
It's
So-
it's printing money.
It is printing money at this point.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
The cool thing is they actually pulled it off. The movie's awesome. Go see it. Spend your money on it.
Everybody I've talked to, and I'm not even that much of a fan, but everybody I've talked to, they're like, yeah, it was great. It was
I can't
really-
wait. I'm seeing it Thursday morning.
I just got to bring a piss bag with me to the theater. I think 'cause it's like 3 hours long. They said.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop at my doctor, see if they'll catheter
Stadium
me
buddy
before I go in.
Stadium buddy or something
Yep.
like that.
3 hours and 1 minute.
Yeah, that's
Adult diapers.
it's pretty epic.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
The only spoiler I will
I
give
guess
you
it all
is
depends, though.
you don't have to wait through the credits this time because there's no stinger at the end. So
Yeah,
that's the one.
heard
there
there
good
is
thing.
something.
There was
at
a
the
voice,
end.
though.
There's some noise going on at the end. It's nothing descript. All I can tell you is there's some clanking going on, and that's it.
I know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know what it
It's a
is.
vibrator.
It's a vibrator.
Yeah.
I'll tell you when we're not on the air.
Yeah. It's my mom's vibrator.
Oh, God,
Anyways.
disgusting. Fuck you guys. I'm going home.
That's what she said.
I'm going to keep Mara going with this tonight.
You talk about your own mom. That's
Yeah. That makes it okay.
That's a real man right there.
And then
Yeah.
the trailer dropped today for the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. I think
I can't even watch it. I just looked at the picture and it's too weird.
Oh, shit.
yeah.
Too weird.
There's
Jim
no
Carrey actually is the only thing that looks good.
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
He does kind of look like normal and
Other than that, like Sonic looks
No.
malformed and like I don't know.
No.
Well, like I
Like
know
he's been
I know
abused.
he's a hedgehog, so that's an actual animal. But it's really unnerving. They made him like furry looking.
But there is no such thing as bipedal blue hedgehogs.
Right,
they
right,
should
there you go.
They should just be able to go wherever they want with that. I mean,
I agree. It's
Yeah.
it's definitely
Detective
not as,
Pikachu is the one I'm waiting.
I was
for.
gonna say it does not look as good as like and cute as
Yeah.
Detective Pikachu does.
Oh, I'm taking Matilda to see
Oh, I
that
hate
Monday.
you. I want to go see that so bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I kinda
she was
wanna
like,
see it,
"Really?"
too.
I'm like, "Yep."
It
She's
looks-
so
It
excited.
looks
Oh, I don't
so
blame her. I would be too.
freaking cute.
And then
And Ryan Reynolds. I mean, come on.
last little bit of news: Zac Efron yesterday said that there is still a possibility they're going to make a Greatest Showman 2. So I don't know if any of you guys are interested in that movie at all.
Ding,
The
ding.
first one was
Yeah.
pretty good.
I really
it was
enjoyed the
beautiful.
first one.
It was fun.
I
But
don't know
Do
that
I
they'll-
really think 2 is necessary? Not even a little.
It was kind of a lightning in a bottle kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know. So
All right.
new releases this week. We've got Ugly Dolls, the movie. Dana's going to be reviewing that one for us.
Thank God somebody is.
We've got The Intruder coming out, and then the latest Seth Rogen comedy, Long Shot. So
I'm sure it'll be
Long
hilarious.
Shot actually looks
it's getting okay reviews so far.
decently funny.
Yeah.
It doesn't look terrible, and I love that it's mostly just Seth Rogen making fun of how ugly Seth Rogen is.
Yeah, he's usually pretty good at that.
He's great. We all have our niche.
And then really in new releases, that's about it. I think everything
Yeah.
is still kind of steering clear of Avengers because this movie is going to literally rape the box office for the next 4 to 6 weeks.
in the ass.
Oh, at the least.
Yeah. Well, and what I heard was that Captain Marvel over the weekend was having a lot of sold out
Yes.
shows too.
Yes.
Because
yes.
people couldn't get into Avengers, so they were going to see that. So that made a whole fuck ton of money. So
So they're just making money by association.
yeah, yep,
Wow.
yep,
Wonderful.
which is kind of cool.
That's good. No, it
Yep.
really is.
All right, suggested viewings this week. I've got a really strange one. I don't even really know why I'm suggesting it, but I saw High Life last week.
Okay.
Have
You know, I
have you guys
about
heard of
it.
this?
I've heard
Yeah.
of it, yeah.
Really strange sci-fi movie, kind of in the vein of Solaris.
Oh, really?
Very slow paced. Kind of reminds me of Moon quite a bit
See,
too.
Moon, I loved just because it was a character piece.
And it was
But
like a Twilight, like an extended Twilight Zone episode. This is a really, really strange movie.
Is this one with the
Robert
sec-
Pattinson, yeah.
the sex socket in the
It's
in the
got
ship?
the fuck. They call it the fuck box.
Yeah,
And it's basically
yeah.
a box where you go and
Yeah.
either masturbate or have sex, and there's all kinds of crazy goopy stuff just squirting all over
Wow.
the place and coming out of the box. It's a weird movie.
Is that,
where
is
can-
that the
where
focal
can we see
point of
this
the movie?
movie?
Theaters.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And
go
it's in theaters.
It's like the main art. It's like
Okay.
an art house film. Very low budget sci-fi with Robert Pattinson in it.
I'm so glad that he is actually turning out to not be a terrible actor.
Yeah. He's kind of striking out now and
Yeah.
doing some really cool
He's
stuff.
got some guts.
Interesting.
It's cool.
And I hate to say it, but they were talking about him doing Batman.
I would be okay with that.
I would be okay with
Although
it too.
my dream casting for that is Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, that would be cool
I
too.
think he would be spectacular.
Because he could do both.
Yeah.
He could do both very well.
He could
He's
be
running
that.
up the ranks of one of my next man crushes, actually. So-
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
He's brilliant.
He's brilliant.
So yeah, High Life. Definitely check that one out if
Or
you got a chance. Just
aptly
know you're
titled-
going something weird, but it's
Yeah.
fun.
Aptly titled Fucking in Space. Fucking in a box in
Fucking about space, y'all.
Yep.
All right, Trevor. I know you've been holding on to this one for a couple weeks. So.
I have. I'm going to the late 70s, strangely enough, for a movie that sounds like it would be absolutely terrible. It's called The Car.
Oh, dude.
about a demon car
Yes.
I know,
that goes
I know
around
I
and
saw
kills
that.
everybody in a village?
Yes.
In a town?
Yes.
It's got James Brolin and Ronnie Cox is like the two main stars of the movie. It's actually a really good movie.
It really is.
And it's really funny. I'm watching it. I'm reading about it before I watch it. And I'm like, wow, this sounds like a really bad Christine ripoff. And then I do dig just a little deeper. And I'm like, oh, shit, this came out before Christine. And by a lot, by like 6 years. And it is absolutely mesmerizingly good. It is so good. I was absolutely shocked at how much I enjoyed that movie. And it has some of the best kills I've ever seen in a movie. Chris, you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
The one part where the car jumps magically 6 feet in the air and drives through the middle of the living room and kitchen of a house and just happens to hit the woman that it's going after perfectly in the process.
That's amazing.
And then just keeps going. And it's just, the whole movie is like that. This car pinning people in areas, and it's a demon, so it can't go into hollowed ground, so they're hiding in graveyards and that kind of stuff. It's amazing.
That's cool.
Amazing movie.
That sounds
It's on
really cool.
Shudder. If you guys have it, watch it. You'll love it. I promise.
Sweet.
All right.
I think that was made for TV though too, wasn't it? Initially?
Not that I can tell.
No. Okay.
Not that I can tell.
Cool. Mara.
Okay, I don't have a suggested viewing really because I was in Chicago this weekend seeing the original Misfits.
Yeah,
So
I was going to
that-
ask you how that went.
It was amazing.
I saw the pictures on Facebook.
Oh my
We
god.
all saw the pictures on Facebook, and all of us were fairly
Jealous
jealous.
as
Oh
fuck.
my
Jealous
God.
as fuck. I was so jelly.
Yeah, it was. It was. It was
Something
amazing.
about hearing Scott say jelly is a little off-putting. I just thought I'd point that out.
I've been seeing this term jelly a lot the
Don't
past
get used
couple
to
days.
Don't get used to it. I'm high.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mara.
So my suggested viewing is Danzig.
Anything. Anything by Danzig.
Yeah,
That works.
How about the Danzig documentary from like 1990?
the Danzig
Yeah,
VHS. Yeah,
that was the shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That was good.
I love it.
Even I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was really cool. I remember because that's what when that documentary came out. I mean, we were all enamored. I mean, we were all Misfits fans and Sam Hain fans. And then Danzig came out. And we're like, whoa, this is something totally different. This is cool. And Danzig became even more this ominous character along with the rest of his band.
Right.
And I'll just I'm going to put that down as my suggested viewing right there. But because I could say, like, I remember watching that when we were kids, and the Misfits, of course, you just saw them, and you knew this before you went there. I mean, they always had, and it's what I love about, certain bands is they can look like a uniform unit, like they all wear the same uniform, but not look the same. It's not forced, right? Like the
Yeah.
Ramones did that perfectly as another band. Like they didn't force that. That's just what they did.
Yeah.
That's just the shit they wore. But they got up on stage and you're like, dude, these guys look like all the same, and it made it so cool. And I've heard of the name.
God, they
for
were
that.
good live, too.
Oh fuck yeah, dude! But it's unintentional. Oh Jesus, I'm high. I can't remember anything right now. There's a term for it as far as how
Excuses,
bands play.
excuses.
Like they wear
Yeah.
sometimes they wear the same clothes, but it's very subtle. You can't really tell things like that. And Danzig really nailed that. I mean,
Yeah.
but they didn't wear a lot of clothes. They all just kind of like, except Danzig wore like those screen shirts and stuff. But like those guys,
he had quite a few different costumes and outfits. In the
basically it was
Misfits
just all
days.
black.
Well, he made a lot of his own shirts. So he had the Captain Harlock shirt.
Yeah.
He had the other one that was like the skeleton. He had two that looked like skeleton.
But Danzig is the band. I mean, those guys.
Oh,
The whole band. I mean, in that time when Danzig first came out, we were
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck is this stuff?" Right? Because these guys, they all looked the same to me.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
they,
yeah, I
but
see
they
what
did.
okay,
They
you're
all,
for
they all had their
Danzig,
own
yeah.
individuality.
The black leather jacket and
But
the
they-
black
yeah.
jeans. Yeah, you're right.
But if you look from they all were they all had their Chuck Biscuits. Jesus, kind of legendary drummer. You
Yeah.
know.
He had the most different look out of them all.
He was blonde.
Yeah.
The rest of but again, like all them high contrast photos they did of those guys, you couldn't really tell. So they kind of had that same thing like the Ramones or or the Misfits had. They had that uniform look, but they all were individuals. But it all made sense.
Yeah.
It all belonged together at the time. Those 4 guys belonged in that band together, and that documentary really kind of brought that out. It was super cool.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna steal that from you. Suggested viewing it's like Danzig the DVD. I don't know, not DVD.
It's the first. It's just called Danzig the VHS because there's a 2 Lucifuge, and then there's the Archive de la Morte, and
should watch those.
one, too.
Those are super cool. What's the original one? This is a Les Paul.
Yeah.
I sweat blood for this guitar.
He only plays Les Paul.
Yeah. All my girlfriends are jealous of this guitar.
Well, that's what.
That's John Christ talking shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many.
This is called The Bitch.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
There's so many great lines in that movie, but it's not you can giggle a little bit, but
yeah.
It's serious. Those
Welcome
guys
to
were
my
for
book
real.
collection.
Oh my god, dude!
The book
Those guys were for real. They were no joke, and Danzig still isn't. I mean, all the shit that Danzig takes nowadays. I still love the guy. I still respect him. He's done. He's a legend. So fucking deal with it, dude. Whatever. All right, moving on.
Give us your suggested viewing.
I just gave it to you, asshole.
Danzig.
I'm hot.
Somewhere in there was a suggested viewing.
I said I stole this from Mara. Danzig, the VHS.
Got it. Okay.
Maybe you should be listening over there, Mr. Producer Boy.
I'm doing 2 things.
He's zoned out.
I'm sorry, I'm hot.
I'm hot.
So let's talk about a much shittier band.
Yes. Let's talk about someone who are son of a bitches.
Absolutely.
Someone who's not a son of a bitch.
And that's not alluding that Danzig.
Think about it, baby. Oh, sorry.
That's all right. That's not alluding that Danzig or the Misfits or Sam Hain were shitty in any way whatsoever. I think they were brilliant. Even at their worst times, they were still a brilliant band and much better than the band we're going to talk about this week.
Yeah, not really a fan of Motley Crue myself.
Put that on the record. Fuck them.
Early era, I was a little too young for. They're a little too sexy for me, and my mom was kind of like, no, you're not listening to that. But then I got into like the girls phase,
Yeah.
I bought that album.
Too Fast for Love, that was like the first.
Yeah.
You're going to laugh. I was listening to rap when they were big.
No,
I had
that.
absolutely zero interest in metal. Although my first album was Twisted Sister, but
Stay Hungry.
Stay Hungry.
Yeah,
I love that album. One of my favorites.
Absolutely.
You
of all
Can't
time.
Stop Rock and Roll. Perfect album.
Yep.
Just got to say that. Go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, for me, my appeal, or the appeal of Motley Crue and hair metal especially, was the really cute girls I went to school with that were all into it, and it was totally worth it just for that.
They all had the same hair.
They did. They had that claw, that claw of hair in
What
the
the
front.
fuck was that thing?
I don't know.
cool.
I don't know. It was Aquanet,
cool.
is what it was.
It was a poof.
A hawk would get stuck in that if it was flying low enough.
Like, I remember when we all started smoking, and those girls you didn't want to be near if they
Oh
had a
my
cigarette,
God,
because
yeah.
you were afraid that they and your cigarette would be a fireball.
Yeah,
It was
totally.
terrifying. It was
There
terrifying.
were 2 bands growing up, at least when I was that age, when Motley Crue was at their height, their zenith. There were 2 bands we hated. We hated Motley Crue, and we really hated Bon Jovi. I mean, we fucking hated Bon Jovi.
Yeah, Bon Jovi's worse.
Those 2 bands were the total.
No,
It's
Bon
worse.
Jovi is not worse. Bon Jovi actually had talent.
I
Going back and looking out of the 2, Bon Jovi.
This is a matter of opinion and taste, quite frankly. It's not really about talent here.
No, and I'll actually put this on record. I mean, both those bands could play.
Yeah,
I think
totally.
both those bands could play.
Exactly.
Just wasn't what I was
It's a matter
into.
of taste. Yeah.
And I mean, I'm being very vicious right now, but I mean, they were all decent musicians. They really were.
They
Mick
were.
Mars is a damn good guitar player, actually.
Oh, he's yeah.
So, but just wasn't my kind of music. Wasn't the songs. that I
Death to
liked.
false metal.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what the
I
whole.
would say,
trip
who
with
was the
this
lead
band.
guitarist for Bon Jovi?
Richie Sambora.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, but he's not with them anymore.
No.
Where's he at?
They kicked him out. He's doing like some Richie Sambora Bon Jovi solo act.
Oh,
Why do you
boy.
know all this, you fucking poser?
Because I like to follow all this stuff.
I'm just kidding.
I will say this. I know we're going to talk about the Dirt
In case you
more
didn't
than
know.
Bon Jovi, but I actually think John Bon Jovi used to have a pretty good voice. It's shredded now.
Well, yeah.
But the Young Guns too. I mean, Blaze of Glory. That is a great song.
Calling it metal, probably not.
No.
But It's still a good song.
It is a good song.
You need a cough drop?
No.
You don't want to be high?
No. I don't want to be high.
Does cough drops get you high?
Yeah, I got such a low tolerance. Everything gets me high. I have no tolerance for anything. Motley Crue. As you guys know, Motley Crue, well, this documentary, or not, what the hell? God,
It's not a documentary. It's
I'm
a
so high.
biopic.
I'm so high.
It's a biopic.
A biopic came out on Netflix called The Dirt. And it really has it's been a big deal. I think it's starting to kind of lose a little bit of steam now. When it first dropped, everybody was freaking out about it. Taking to social media to voice their opinions about the film on Netflix. And so I guess as far as how we're going to approach this, do we want to start off with initial impressions and just kind of go around?
Yeah, we can do that.
Go ahead, Chris.
My initial impression was I thought the movie, it painted them in a bad light, but I don't think it painted them in enough of a bad light because, they're horrible people. They really are. Horrible, horrible people involved in STDs and fucking killing people, drinking and driving, overdosing.
They
the
even
whole
glossed
deal.
over the drinking and driving death.
Well, they show it.
But they still gloss it over, the impact
You
of
don't really understand, Vince Neil's a bad dude. Really, in real life, he's
a piece of shit.
He's and I don't want to be too harsh on these people because obviously it's a movie, but when it is in a biopic like this, usually you're getting the lighter version. You're not getting.
And there's a lot of comedy in this movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of goofiness you see. Yeah.
The other first impression I walked away with this movie is I thought the acting was terrible and the live performance footage. When you have something like Bohemian Rhapsody come out a year ago that nailed the live performance footage aspect of it, and then you put out another movie within that same time frame and it looks this bad, there's a problem. There wasn't that care that went into it, and I know they didn't have the budget that the Freddie Mercury one did, but in this movie it's very noticeable how bad, when the Vince Neil dude
really
is
funny about that too. They spent months rehearsing to actually be able to play the songs. So
what?
It's that bad. Oh yeah, it's that bad, and that was them improved.
It's terrible.
Just saying.
All right, Trevor.
What were your guys' first
Trevor,
impressions of this
My
thing?
first impression of it at first was this is cute. My jokey first impression was holy shit, we can put tits back in movies.
Yeah,
plenty of those.
Other than that, it felt like a glossed over, really half-assed biopic trying to make assholes look like decent human beings. They gloss over the death of I can't remember the guy's name.
Dude from Hanoi Rocks.
Yes.
I always forget his name. Look him up, Chris.
They gloss over that death, but then Vince's daughter dies, and they make him a saint in that scene, in that section of the movie. And it's they don't balance each other out. It's not
Razzle. It was Razzle.
Razzle, that's it.
Wait, and Hanoi Rocks was a pretty good band.
Hanoi Rocks was going to be amazing.
They would have been great.
Yeah.
That's super bummer. Anyways, sorry, Trevor. Go ahead.
But it really just felt like a desperate attempt to save face after all of the books and all of the bullshit that everybody's put out that is basically admitted to how fucked up these guys are. Now all of a sudden it's
give us the glossy version.
Yeah, let's put out a movie and make everybody look okay.
Yeah.
They had what's his name? Punch's girlfriend.
Oh, Tommy
wife.
Lee.
Tommy Lee. Yeah. But
such a great guy.
I had a problem with that scene because I kind of thought that they tried to make it seem like he was regretful and you're kind of supposed to feel sorry for him. And I thought,
that bugged me too.
I'm like, what? Okay, I know she called his mom a cunt, but I don't really think that any word is worth being punched. And I don't, and that's the thing. I don't really know. It's like, I want to hear her side of the story. It's very one-sided. So I don't know if she really was that antagonizing.
From what I hear.
And then if they're so regretful about it, they couldn't even say her name in it. They didn't even give her a name.
Oh, yeah.
And they were supposedly going to be married. So I was like, that's manipulative right there.
Oh,
because
it was.
At first I did kind of feel like, oh, man, she really got to... And then I was like, wait a second. wait. This is a little one-sided and weird. I mean, and of course it is one-sided. It's their side.
But what's really funny is that they actually... You are absolutely right. Because what they did was actually much worse. Mm-hmm. He physically punched her, picked her up, and threw her out the door of the bus as it was driving in a desert.
Yeah, I bet it was worse.
And left her there and then kept going.
Yeah, and then he did his whole thing about Heather Locklear, which, by the way, the girl they got to play her, eerily, like, similar to her.
Especially at that era. Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like,
that was very weird.
She talked like her. She had that same, like, smile. Like, and then she came in and she was like, go with your porn star slut. And it was just like, it was so much like her. And she was really treated with a lot of dignity. And, you know, she didn't do anything wrong. And, you know, he didn't even fight back with that. And he's like, that's the one that's going to get away.
Which wasn't true because she was a pretty horrible person too.
Yeah,
still is.
I was wondering about that too because I thought, come on, no one's perfect here.
No. But how many times has she been arrested in the last 2 years for spousal abuse? You know?
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know about that. See, I don't know.
Like, I think 2 times she's been arrested for it. Now she's been through forced rehab 3 times. She's overdosed like 5 times in the last 6 years.
I didn't know she was that messed up.
Oh, she makes Tommy Lee look like he's not a train wreck.
Maybe that's why he wants to be with her. He's like, well, we're evened up, we matched.
She's a fucking nightmare.
I mean, honestly, though, other than that, I enjoyed watching the movie. I laughed. I thought it was fun, and after it was over, I kind of thought like, man, if these like weren't about real guys, this might be like a really good, like I might be
Animal
like,
House.
I love this
Another
movie.
Animal House.
Yeah, like it was so fun, and but it did give me, it felt very manipulative. Like when the kid died, I cried like a fucking baby.
Me too.
I cried.
And I hated that I cried.
And not because like I thought, and not
I was
because
actually mad about.
I was too, because I was like, this isn't because this is good filmmaking. This isn't because I'm like really reacting to like, you know, what's going on in this character's life. This is just because like a little kid is dying.
Yeah. And you could tell, I mean, you know, he loved his child.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
so that's sad no matter what.
Right.
You'd hope that he loved it.
All right, Scott, give us your first impressions of this thing.
Well, as I watched this, well, you know, I think it's pretty clear I feel the same way. These guys are all just, they're assholes.
They're sleazebags.
You know, I don't think anybody really starts that way. I think that's a conditioning thing.
Oh, of course.
As we know, with the exception of Tommy Lee, these guys all had pretty rough upbringings too. They weren't treated that well. And I'm not blaming this. I'm not trying to, you know, move this responsibility from them. However, as this movie progresses and seeing this stuff happen when I was growing up, you know, we'd read about this stuff in magazines, like all this completely insane shit that was going on with this band.
Oh, that was madhouse.
Yeah, so, you know, being in situations like that sometimes growing up, I think we've all been there, right? And again, I'm not trying to reduce any responsibility for their shitty, asshole-ish behavior. However, I think a lot of this stuff, you know, drunk driving, all these horrible things that happen, these guys were all junkies. They were all high, drunk, stoned, whatever, shooting, snorting, whatever it was, out of their minds for years. And it was always, I think, one of those things that, you know, when you party like that, and again, this is speaking from some experience, even though I just, you know, a few beers here and there, these guys are always trying to one-up each other. You know, this is just a big-ass party, and this is just like, how far can we push this thing? We have all these opportunities to be completely ridiculous as people, right? So let's just keep pushing the envelope, right? That's what I, you know, as far as watching that and thinking about what this band was at that time, I'm like, these guys, This was just a big party competition. Let's just see who could be the most fucking crazy.
Yeah, who can get the most stoned or drunk and do the dumbest thing.
That scene with Ozzy, that really horrible impersonation of Ozzy.
That was so terrible.
And that's a real story. That really
happened.
I know.
That really happened.
I know. It was so that was hard to watch.
You got to picture that. Think about this, okay? Though you're in that situation, and Ozzy Osbourne walks out to a pool, and you're all partying. And you got a guy like Ozzy, who can't be shown up. His ego's the size of a truck even to this day. He's not going to be shown up. So he's like, well, let me show you how you really fucking party, guys. And look, I don't want to go into all the horrible shit that he did. So this whole thing was like just this big one-up competition with these guys, except for Mick Mars. Mick Mars, and that's one thing I thought they kind of nailed.
Mick was the only part of the movie that I liked.
Me too.
Mick was always the more mature one. He was older than those guys. And he always kind of was more reserved and said, you guys are like a bunch of assholes.
He seemed cool as hell.
I think he probably is the only cool one in the band.
Yeah.
I think he's probably the only, he's probably the one with the most talent, too.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a way to think about this thing. I've been on
He's
this.
a cripple. I didn't realize he was.
Oh, yeah. His back's totally fused.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had no idea.
I actually read an interview with him because if you see him now, like literally, I'll try to. Like his neck kind of points down. Like he walks like. His neck, his neck is pointed down, and I read an interview with him, and he's like, yeah, I'm stuck this way now for the rest of my life. However, that's how I
play guitar.
He's like, so
it's
I
okay.
can still play guitar. That's why he could still play guitar and play in the band still.
That's awesome.
If it was any other way, he wouldn't have been able to do it. So what I was going to say is, like, to put this in perspective and thinking this thing through, and you're going to laugh when I say this, but I've been kind of on this weird, like reading and watching like YouTube videos on like professional wrestling history, right?
Oh yeah, that shit's fun.
On some of and some of the more extreme elements and things like that. And as I was listening to you guys talk, I was thinking about both these things.
Do you think it was an act,
No,
they're playing heels, or
no, not at all. What I'm saying is, like, some of these guys, some of these professional wrestlers, for example, there's some pretty heavy shit that's went down in wrestling history that is either scripted or unscripted, right? I mean, we don't need to go into any of that. And it's the same type of, I think, this mania you have as a group of people where it's like, fuck, man, this is so intense, and your adrenaline's pumping. And you're not thinking. You're living. You're truly living in the moment, right? Which I think is a good thing. I'd like to do it more in my life, not with a pile of blow in front of me and dead.
The pile of blow actually makes it much easier.
I'm sure it does.
Let me tell you, you stop being so concerned.
Yeah.
So I mean, I hate to turn this into a dissertation, but. I'm thinking about what really made this shit happen for real. I mean, and there was a lot of what the dirt showed us, that stuff was based on real stuff.
Oh, yeah.
The shit went down. This crazy insanity did go down. And I'm like, what made that, right? And I think a lot of things made it. I mean, you had people who had, had mental problems.
Right.
Those guys were fucking crazy. Even Mick Mars was crazy, right?
Well, he had to be a certain level of crazy to hang with those crazies,
exactly.
too.
And
it takes a lot to put up with that bullshit.
You had buckets of money.
He actually hung out with them.
What's that?
I think he actually just went to his room and was like, leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot. Like I said, I mean, that's true. He was much more reserved than the rest of those guys. But you had a group of people who had mental problems with buckets of money to do whatever the hell they want. They weren't mature enough to deal with that kind of money. And period.
Also, someone who's going to make excuses for them and smooth things over when they're done.
Yeah.
Because they're making them money.
Well, yeah, and they have all these handlers that are making a very good living off of them. So, of course they're going to protect their interest, which is that band.
I think that basically what we're saying is Mick Mars is probably like the most humble one that just kind of accepted it for what it was. In literally, I mean,
it's his dream too. He wanted to be a rock star,
right? But I'm saying like he's humble in the fact that I think he could have just at some point just walked away, and he probably would have been fine.
Yeah.
Oh, he could have walked away and started his own band, and anybody with half a brain would have joined.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just the whole idea of what happened with his band. They're terrible people.
They are.
No excuses whatsoever.
Yeah,
but
you're right.
I'm curious to see what created that tornado.
Well, I mean, they kind of went into it a little bit with Nikki Sixx. I mean, his parents both really let him down. I mean, he blames his mom tremendously, and that's obviously where all his misogyny comes from. But I
Yeah,
mean, his
yeah.
dad's obviously a piece of shit too.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, there's that, and then you look at Tommy Lee, and it's like he obviously had no discipline at all. So
Yeah,
it's
he,
like,
he seemed to really love his family, and that's
Yeah.
something I read years ago too. That
Yeah.
they really supported his music thing.
yeah, and
So-
his, he even showed him like he took his sister's pants, and like, he had this. It was a very just like, normal
Playful.
moment.
Like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
And he just walked out like that. He
Yeah.
didn't care.
Yeah.
So I think it's just this mania that created this thing. Thinking this thing through and trying to understand what the hell happened and what made them leave this wake of just destruction, broken hearts, death, dead people, right?
Yeah.
It's a sad
Quite
story.
a few.
And those guys all deserve to die in the middle of that wake too, but somehow they all came through. They all made it through.
They all made it
Six
through, and
did
they all
die
just-
like 5 times.
Yeah, but he's still here. They're still here.
Yeah.
Somehow these guys made it through.
Yeah.
I believe that's for a reason too. I mean, maybe they needed to go through that shit. They're terrible people still.
I was saying
I
they're
don't
still pieces of shit.
They
I
are.
mean, like they came through it and didn't mature.
No.
It's one of the weirdest fucking stories I've ever heard in my life. Where normally you see these stories and it's like craziness in the 80s and cocaine fueled madness, and then come the 90s and the early 2000s, they're like, I found Buddha.
Well, yeah, and like Nikki
Yeah.
Sixx has been a big proponent of that idea. Where now he's like, well, I'm clean and I'm doing great. It's like, well, and like Dennis Leary said that years ago. He's like, well, these guys are all like saying don't do drugs. Well, we can't. You did them all, asshole. So
I
true.
can verify that is not true. that they did not.
So-
There was plenty for me in the 90s.
yeah. So I mean, as far as they had that was my takeaway from that was like, okay, this tornado had to be created somehow.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I understand some reasons, and I'm sure are accurate. But I sure it's a lot more. There's a lot more to it than just
Of
this
course.
shitty document. And I'll say
You're
it's
gonna
not really a
laugh.
document or
One of the
biopic.
things that kept going through my mind as I watched that goddamn movie was, if these dudes would have chilled the fuck out, like 82, they might have actually been an amazing band that had a really interesting, cool career.
Well, yeah. How many albums have they actually put out? Like 6.
6,
And they've been a band.
maybe 7.
Technically, they've been a band for 30-something, 40,
You know-
whatever
When they
years.
finally
But-
broke up, 3 years ago?
Yeah, 2015
Oh, yeah, they
was,
did the
their,
last
was
show.
their final show.
Yeah.
Just to play devil's advocate, I mean, because I don't like the band, but I mean, it didn't really seem to like do anything to their success. I mean, they're
No, it didn't,
huge.
but I don't-
They sell out shows. I'm sure if they were decided to do another tour, they would probably sell them all out. People love them.
After this,
Didn't their best albums come out after Nikki got sober?
I have.
Well, yeah, because
I'm not the right guy to ask on that.
Kickstart My Heart. Well, according to the movie, Kickstart My Heart was after he, after his bad
I'm
experience.
saying commercial.
Yeah, because
Commercially.
Kickstart My Heart was the girls phase. That was that
Yeah.
album, so 87. So
Yeah.
actually, they put out 9 albums, and then they put out a soundtrack for The Dirt.
9 albums they
Yup.
did.
Yeah,
Too Fast
and
for
they
Love.
actually re-recorded a bunch of songs for this movie.
Too Fast for
Oh,
Love,
yeah.
Shout at the Devil, Theater of Pain, Girls, Dr. Feelgood, Motley Crue, Generation Swine, which was the one with John Corabi in 97 when Vince was out. And then they did New Tattoo. And then Saints
Guess who was out of the band for New Tattoo?
Tommy Lee.
Tommy Lee.
Yeah.
Samantha Maloney was their drummer. They had a female drummer
Yep.
named Samantha Maloney who was fucking phenomenal.
And she was in Hole previously.
She was in Hole. She was in a band called Shift also.
Yep.
God, don't get me started on
Let's
Hole.
go.
And I
Trivia,
believe
trivia?
she was in the Breeders for a while also.
Did she
Yeah.
play in the Breeders?
I'm pretty
Oh,
sure
that's
she
cool.
did for a little bit.
Fantastic drummer.
Yep.
Breeders
Amazing
were
drummer.
spectacular band.
Oh,
Yeah, and then and she also played in Belly
Did
too.
Oh, did she?
Yep.
She's
Because
been
I
all
think
over
she
the place.
played on that Feed the Tree song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Great
pretty
drummer.
sure.
Yeah, she did. She did a stint in Motley Crue.
Yep.
Very cool.
That's
Wow.
a trip.
Didn't know that.
That is a
Did
trip.
not know that.
Yeah, and I
I'm
mean she was
surprised
like
I
she's
didn't.
That's a lot of really good bands.
She's a badass drummer too.
I will actually say she's a better drummer than Tommy Lee. And Tommy Lee is a rock solid drummer.
He's not bad.
But she is fucking phenomenal.
Well, I guess if you're going to replace him, you better get someone who's phenomenal.
Yeah, she is a clock.
Well, from
She's
a
clock.
musician standpoint, I always thought Tommy Lee was the strongest element of Motley Crue. I mean, I actually enjoy watching him play drums. He's a very theatrical drummer.
Yeah, and also he does all
Hard
the
hitter.
crazy, shit. Yeah, there you go.
Well, he's a hard hitter, too. The guy actually
I
would
love-
hit the drums along with all the theatrical.
Yeah, I know. He
loved
makes
in
it
the
happen
movie
while
where they
he's
made the
doing all
big
this
deal
stuff.
of him spinning the drumsticks.
Yes.
I'm like, really?
I know. I liked how they first show him and he had the
And he-
drumsticks in his pocket, and I was like, oh, yep, there you go. That's Tommy.
Yeah.
I wonder if he, and then I wonder if he really did do that, or if that's just their little
I don't
visual
know.
way.
I would say the drummers I knew in the early 90s all fucking always had drumsticks
they?
on them. Always. Invariably.
It's tough to say, 9 albums
and I'd
for
have
a
to follow them
30-something-year
around
career.
picking up their damn sticks because they drop them every time they bent over.
Well, their last album was 2008. That was Saints of Los Angeles.
Oh, that was a piece of shit album.
They literally toured until, what was it? You said 2015?
Yeah.
And when they supposedly retired,
Yeah.
that ain't going to last.
I thought they
No,
did their
that
retirement show in Grand Rapids,
Well,
too.
They did.
I
They
just
did.
read this I was looking at it because I was wondering, and Vince Neil said no very recently. It's not going to happen. They're not even going to do a one-off. He said we're all just better as friends. We don't want to work together.
Their record sales, I was going to point that out, and this has been well documented already. Their record sales have went through the roof since the release of The Dirt.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
That's what always happens.
Totally.
So
It
at
happened
that,
to Queen, too.
yeah, their record sales have just gone sky high. Everybody's buying Motley Crue albums again, which fine,
Well, I cannot get Kickstart My Heart out of my head since I watched it, and then every time it goes
So
away, Home Sweet Home just starts up, and I just
Shout at the Devil has been stuck in my
Yeah.
head since
That's a
I
good
watched
riff.
it.
that is.
That's a great one.
I
good
like
riff.
that album. I had that album. I just recently sold it because I'm kind of recycling through some vinyl, but I like that one. And
Don't ever sell the vinyl.
I sold. A bunch.
I own.
You sold your vinyl, man.
No, I own 3 records.
Oh.
I own 3 records.
What are they?
Can't sell the
Snow
vinyl.
White, the original 1942 pressing. Jungle Book original pressing, and I bought Jen a. It's called Cricket. Songs from the magazine or something like that. That was one of Jen's favorite albums when she was like 5.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's
really
that's
cool.
our 3. Oh wait, we also have a stack of like Steely Dan and the Police.
Oh, okay. Do you guys have a way to listen to them?
No, which is
Yeah,
why I
dude.
don't buy vinyl.
Yeah, I get you a record player.
I
buddy.
don't buy music.
Don't give it
I
any
don't
vinyl.
buy music.
Don't start.
I have a subscription to Apple Music. That's enough.
Well, all the musicians can't stand you.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
I know, they all hate me. They all
Yeah.
hate me. But
I thought there was some great comedic albums.
I don't
in the
listen.
mo-
I only listen to music if I'm driving. I don't listen to music at home ever.
Yeah.
I
Like
do if
have-
I'm cleaning.
I listen to music all the time,
I always have a movie on.
but yeah, we should get back to talking about the movie, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was going to say, I wanted to point out there was
I think
some
we
pretty,
covered it well enough.
I got more to say.
I thought there was some
I think
pretty
Scott
funny.
does too,
There was
yeah.
some pretty funny stuff in the movie. I mean, as far as I think you pointed that out, Mara. I mean, if you just want to take this as a standalone there and forget about who Motley Crue was and who this movie was inspired by, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just watch it as a standalone movie, I got a kick out of it. I mean, there was a lot of hijinks and a lot of hilarity that went on. I mean, some of the stuff I thought was really, I mean, I'm like, oh my God, like there was the apartment scene where it's like, hey guys, check this out. And he like goes down on the girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm like,
Oh,
oh
yeah.
my God.
Yeah, the
All
orgy
right.
scene.
Yeah. So, there was some stuff that I actually did like, start laughing a bit and giggling.
Apparently
I thought it was
that really
funny.
happened, and that was not a joke. That
Yeah,
I'm not saying
it's
it's
called
it's-
urine.
Well, no. I'm saying that
Oh,
We have
scene,
a
like,
professional
him
female
going
here.
down-
Why don't we ask her?
Him going down on the girl in the middle of the party.
yeah.
Really happened, and she really did.
Oh, yeah.
Squirt.
I'm sure.
I don't make it any less funny though.
And I
It's
guess,
hysterical.
does it?
I guess she was like everybody's least favorite girl that hung out at the parties.
Well, you're pissing in public. Yeah, I wouldn't put you. That wouldn't put
Yeah,
you on
I don't
my
know.
top
I don't
list.
know if I'd want to be her bestie, to be quite honest.
Hey,
I
why don't
would.
we invite so and so to the party? No, she pisses on the rug every time she comes. I don't want to fucking hear.
She's not fucking house trained.
What is this, the Big Lebowski?
That rug.
That rug really tied the room together.
So
That was like one of the first scenes of the movie too. I was just like,
it was.
What?
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think wasn't that the opening credits?
I
And
hope
they're
that-
all sneaking in through the window.
And I thought, actress,
can't remember.
the actress, what a good sport.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
You know?
Yeah, water sport.
Oh damn. That right there deserves a You're getting a golf clap for that one. That was what happened. What's wrong?
The collar's broken.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, anyways,
Okay. We got to fix that one again.
eat the mic. So yeah, I thought there was a lot of funny stuff. Like I said, I got a kick out of it. I laughed. Just taking it for what it was. Like I said, Animal House. It would be like something like that. And there's just if I was even at my age, if I saw a skinny like rock dude with hair like all over the place running down a hallway in a hotel I was staying at, like wasted out of his mind, I'd put my fist in the air. Be like, hell yeah.
I mean, as long as he wasn't, assaulting me
Yeah,
or
no, I mean,
anything, I would be happy about it too.
It's a mess. That stuff's
I'm old and
hysterical.
cranky. I'd fucking trip the little prick.
Yeah, but hotel room
I'm all for
destruction.
chaos.
Like that's the stuff that anytime I've ever been to a hotel, like whatever we're doing, we go to a hotel. I'm like, okay, who wants to throw a TV out the window?
Yeah, of
As
course.
a joke, I'd never do it, but that's
Rock and
kind of
roll.
We
kinda
can't
where it came
afford
from.
that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, they invented that shit. There's that great scene where they just show like shit flying out smash the guy's car.
Oh, wouldn't you
Don't
be so
Sorry,
give
pissed?
that
dude.
much
Wouldn't you
credit.
be so pissed if you were that guy?
Sorry, dude.
There's a big difference, though, between throwing a tube TV out the window and throwing an LED out the window.
Yeah, it's like
Because
way less.
there's
than-
no dramatic effect
Right.
if you did it
don't
now.
explode or
Right,
Right,
it just
you're right.
lands and cracks.
Yeah.
That explodes.
Yeah.
But let's not give Motley Crue too much credit. They did not start the thing. That
I didn't
was
say they-
that was
yeah.
Zeppelin and
Yep,
the Who.
Led Zeppelin.
But
You
I've
know,
always thought about
and the
that.
money.
idea.
We're horrible people too.
The Mud Shark.
You might as well just
Yuck.
throw a laptop out the window now.
Don't bring that up.
I'm going to throw my tablet out the window.
Oh my god, I'm so angry and I'm so high on espresso.
Sorry, cheap Galaxy Tab.
Oh my god, I'm so angsty. I'm so worn out here. I ran out of Frappuccino. God damn it.
I hate my Chromebook.
Which does lend to that idea of what rock and roll has become.
It really does.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
really does.
Speaking of this idea, because I mean,
It's so bad now. I'm sorry. It really is.
well, so was Motley Crue, but
yeah.
it was it was dangerous. Their lifestyles were dangerous. It reflected in
yeah.
their music too, right?
If I was sticking my dick in everything, I'd be worried about AIDS in the 80s.
yeah.
They didn't seem worried about AIDS in that movie at all.
I
Quite
know.
honestly.
I'm watching it going, these guys are fucking dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was that, saying, and I mean, maybe that is like get off of my lawn talk right there for coming from me. Like, oh, I remember back in the day, that was partying, not this bullshit you kids listen to now, whatever. And I think that's the case.
It's okay. We accept you in your older
Yes.
Clint
I-
Eastwood phase.
I don't see that kind of. You don't really see those like bands like when they stomp through your town, just and trash everything and leave.
Yeah.
It's kind of something to say about that. I'm not
Are
saying
we,
I support
are we
it.
going to complain about it, though?
I
What's that?
think
I'm not complaining about it.
I think that
Stay out of
it-
my house.
I think that it does exist in some form still.
Yeah.
Like the sex stuff definitely
Oh,
still
that's
goes
still-
on because you hear all like this weird shit happening now too. But I think because of social
Yeah,
media
it's a lot
existing,
More, it's a lot more intense.
these
than it used to
dudes
be
in
now.
these bands that are like total fucking like narcissists and pervs and shit, they're like contacting these girls like via Twitter and via Instagram and fucking Facebook and messaging them and shit. So you're not seeing
But
a
here's
lot
the
of this stuff go
problem.
on, but now it's happening more even like
Yeah.
behind closed doors,
Probably,
which is
yeah.
even a little
Oh,
more
yeah.
scary.
Let's
yeah.
say let's say
It's a lot
this
more
though.
shady.
Motley
a lot more
Crue,
shady.
the members of Motley Crue probably did some things with females that were not good. I mean, I don't
Probably.
know. I mean, I'm sure they did though. I'm sure they did things back then that are now considered now would be like really
God,
bad.
I hope not.
Right?
But wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. one thing I want to say about this now, as far as like musicians and this whole rock star attitude shit. One thing I'm noticing is, this idea. There is this clandestine type thing that they try to do. However, I've seen this happen a handful of times. There's been a handful of bands, not at the level of Motley Crue, but I've watched them pull some fucking creepy shit with women. They've done it with women. They've done some really bad stuff, and they got called out on it. And a couple of these bands had to break up over something like this. They got beat up so bad on social media. They said, look, you did this shit. You tried to rape this girl, man. And I mean, believe me, I'm right there with them. I'm on the front line going, dude, what's wrong with you?
Right.
And this broke their band up.
That's good.
Like the band broke up. They're like, we can't do anything. We've been destroyed on social media. We can't do anything. And I agree with that.
That's kind of the advantage of where we're at now.
Yeah.
Is that when people do really fucked up shit, their career's over.
Yeah. You can wreck somebody overnight.
They get Kevin Spacey.
They get Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, well, that's the same idea.
Yeah. Now we have consequences for this kind of thing.
Well, and there should be.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice. It's like that. And the other thing that we have now is the actually, like, socially responsible music stars.
Yes.
That were starting to be a thing in the 80s. Like Farm Aid and all that kind of
Bono.
Bono and what's his name from Boomtown Rats?
I don't care for that guy at all.
No,
so.
Bob Geldof is a complete asshole.
Yeah.
But Farm Aid was a really cool thing.
Yeah, it was.
Well, sometimes I think those kind of
those
musicians do stuff like that so they can go ahead and then be clandestine and rapey, and you kind of just turn the other, turn away from it because you're like, oh, well, he's so socially minded, so he's not going to do that.
No, those people should be drug out wherever, even whether it's in the virtual world or on the street. I'll say it flat out. And be made responsible, be held responsible.
I'd be happy to put foot to ass for some of those people.
But I will say this, like when I was watching the movie, being that it's like 25 years later than them like blowing up, it is kind of weird watching that whole like sex scene, that whole like thing going on, because it is like, holy shit. This was during the 80s. This is when the AIDS like epidemic started.
Yeah.
And like these dudes were just out there like fucking everything. And like, how lucky are you?
They come out the other end with that.
They came
on that too.
Yeah. They come out
of it. They come out of it with Hep C.
Yeah.
With Hep C?
Really? That's it?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know. They could have had other shit too that's, could be taken care of with some penicillin or
syphilis, gonorrhea.
You're not coming out of anything with that. You take care of it as it happens and keep
exactly.
going.
Yeah, but I mean, they still could have just completely
they
passed it around and yeah, they could be. They could. They didn't get anything. Obviously, they didn't get anything deadly.
Yeah.
So they are very lucky for that.
So I mean, it is kind of strange, like you're watching this movie like Bird's Eye View. All this crazy shit going on, and I'm like, this is actually like the definition of insanity, doing the same thing repeatedly. Over and over again. We're just gonna fuck whoever we want. We're gonna do whatever drugs we want. Nothing is gonna happen. Nothing.
You know what was funny about it, though, is that it's not insanity because they weren't expecting a different outcome.
Right.
That's the only difference.
Well, it was just
go ahead.
It was just depressing when, Nikki Sixx comes back from the hospital. He's got they show the bruise in his chest from the adrenaline thing.
Yeah.
And he goes into his little, like, smack room or whatever and just, like, starts shooting up again. And it's like, what are you doing?
Now, what they glossed over is that he OD'd again that night.
Yeah.
He actually OD'd 2 times that night. I remember when it happened.
Wow.
I remember when it happened.
It was depressing. It's very depressing to see.
Yeah.
It was horrifying.
That's another thing to take into account, though, about these guys. With the exception of Mick Mars, I mean, these guys were in their early 20s when this stuff when they hit. They were very, very, very young.
Yeah.
And I mean, I am no psych major. I'm no psych expert by a long shot. But they were also very young to have that much money
and power.
And that's what I said. It's kind of what I said earlier. So these guys were not even really matured enough to the point to really understand, what they had.
You're right.
And truly appreciate and say, yeah, you know what? They just were going for, again, living in the moment. And that's what you do when you're that age. You do crazy shit. You live in the moment.
Yeah.
But when you have millions of dollars at your disposal, you're going to amplify that naturally. You're going to totally do that.
Of course.
So yeah, I mean, that kind of explains what the hell happened here? 'Cause that's my thing. Is I'm like, why? Why did this all happen the way it did? Why did these guys do all this crazy shit? Why didn't they just play their music and go have a beer and go to the hotel room and chill
and
watch a
enjoy
movie
all that money
and relax?
They're misguided.
Why did they have to and there was that one scene where they show, I think it may have been Nikki Sixx, where they showed his day, like kind of like
that was Tommy.
Was it Tommy?
Yeah,
Tommy
yeah.
showed his day, starting at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the afternoon.
oh
when
yeah
he
and
woke up,
Oh, that was like sickening.
and it walks him through his day, right? So
It's rough.
I remember when that was my days. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I remember waking
Yeah.
up.
You remember
Yeah.
playing to huge crowds?
Not the huge crowds
oh.
part. But
no,
I remember the waking up late as hell and, yeah.
hair of the dog.
That's rough. That's rough, man.
Well, there is that
That's
whole
hard.
thing too. You got to take into account, like why. That's again, and that's going back to what I
Because
took away from
because he could, and I mean his one responsibility is
Play
going
drums.
to that job, playing the show. So
play drums.
and that seems like just a big party. So there's like not enough structure.
I think, a lot of this comes down to something we all do ourselves. It's all about escapism. So whatever your life and lifestyle is, it becomes a bore. It becomes repetition. So then you start to look for things that will take you out of that. My thing is, I want to escape. I go spend $100 on movies, and then I throw myself into those movies or TV shows for the next couple weeks. Why? Because I'm escaping from the boredom of everyday life. And I think with them, it's our escape is we're going to drink and fuck everything in sight and do drugs and do it as much as possible.
Don't you think that may get boring though too?
Yeah.
Well, here's my thing.
Yeah, but then they have
when
to
they
keep
first
doing
started
more. Yep.
When they first started doing it, they weren't famous. They weren't a big deal. They were a bunch of dudes trying to get a band going in L.A. that were getting handed coke by everybody. Anyone near them was giving them coke and booze and all that kind of shit. And they were so fucking poor. So poor. That's what they were escaping from to start with.
Yeah.
And then they started escaping. It was just constantly escaping a different thing.
And that's the thing is I've
but
always.
that was their mechanism that they developed early.
I always got the impression about Motley Crue, and I didn't know if this was just like, wrong or whatever, but I always got the impression that they weren't really doing it for the music. There was something else. The girls, the money, the drugs. That's what's motivating them
I think
to do it.
I think they may have started out. I don't think there's any way you could start out playing music not having an interest in writing music and having a passion for it.
Yeah.
But like, there's a great scene from The Simpsons. I remember seeing this and it was hysterical because it was Bart Simpson, and it was an episode where he wanted to be a rock star, and his dream. He had this dream of being a rock star, and it shows him passed out in a dressing room, and God,
I remember that.
Stewie or whoever the hell, who was that kid? The other kid's like,
Milhouse.
Milhouse.
Like, come on, Bart. It used to be about the music, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's exactly how Motley Crue started. They wanted they were interested in playing hard music. They wanted to play rock and roll. And then all this other shit floats into the thing. And the booze, the women, the drugs, that all took over. Mm-hmm. And they showed that even in the movie where they're in the studio trying to put together an album, and they're all just sitting there all fucked up.
They're all sitting around on couches on heroin.
Yeah, they're all messed up, and they're like, come on, man. And they're trying to figure out how to write an album again, Yeah. Where if they were clean, they probably, I agree with that. Somebody said that a few minutes ago. If those guys would have kept their shit together, they probably would have wrote some really interesting music. Stuff that I probably would have been like, hey, this is a good album.
Yeah.
This damn good album. That old shit was bullshit. This is really cool right here.
Yeah.
So, but they never got to that point because I think,
what's funny is that they started off with a couple of really good albums.
Livewire's a good tune.
Yeah.
They started off with a couple of really solid albums, and then it seems like they fell really deep into everything and had a couple of really shitty albums, and then came back out and were okay.
Well, I think that when they came back with the Girls, Girls, Girls album, that was kind of like the peak for them. That's when the showmanship went from here to here, and that's when we started with the rotating drum set and the the big pyros and the girls on stage, backup singers, dancers, all that shit. When Girls came out, like that was like
They got big.
like fucking huge.
Oh, I remember when they got huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of producers behind them too, helping them out. I mean, I don't think they wrote every single lick they've ever recorded. I think
Probably
there was
not.
help from producers, which we'll never know. Engineers and producers always step in and say, "Hey, how about you try this? How about you try that?"
I know all about that.
Yeah, right. So yeah, we both know about that. So again, I mean, I think this whole mystery of what the hell happened here with these guys and what this movie kind of put on the spotlight to me was simply, why? Why the hell did it have to go this way? But that's what they were. That's what makes them who they were. Also, too. That's their identity. Not a good identity. Not an identity I'd want to have. But that's what makes Motley Crue. When you think of Motley Crue, that's what you think of, like partying, boozing, drug addict dudes, screwing everything with a pulse in front of them. That's just what those guys did.
I mean, the name kind of defines that too.
Totally. Yeah, totally. Couldn't have had a better name for it.
I think they should have been called Christmas. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Was that one of the
That was
names
so
they said?
cheesy.
That was
Yeah, no, it was like XXXX, right?
Extra, like triple Xmas.
Mass with like a pentagram.
And
With
Mick,
the
Mick
mask.
Mars was like,
Yeah.
"That's the stupidest thing
Yeah.
I've ever seen," or whatever.
Yeah.
He's right.
But it was a fun movie to watch.
Here's something I liked about it. I thought it was really cool that then they introduced the manager. They were like, okay, well, it was this guy and another guy, but he's not in the movie because it's boring. And then,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they
that
kind
part
of
I
like
dug.
go to that. And that I enjoyed that because, whenever you watch a biopic about a band, they always do that. And like the best example I can think of is the Runaways movie.
Yeah.
Where
Oh, yeah.
they took all the bassists they ever had and they combined her into
Into
one
one
girl.
character.
And it's like so rude to the poor, girl who played bass with them the most of the time.
I actually like that movie
But-
though.
I do
did.
too.
I
I
really
do too.
liked that one.
Like Kristen Stewart, like
I couldn't
people-
believe I liked her in that.
people complain about her, but she was Joan Jett, man.
She was.
She
was dead
Joan
on.
Jett.
And so is what's her name is
There's a fine wine.
was it
Joan
Fanny?
Jett.
Joan Jett.
That's a fine
She's
wine right there. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut anybody
No,
off.
that's
I had to
okay.
say that.
She's gorgeous, and
What's
she's
her
just
name?
more
Elle
over
Fanning
top.
or
Yeah.
Dakota?
Dakota
It was
Fanning
Dakota
and Cherie
Fanning.
Curry. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
That was a
Oh,
good movie.
She was so good in that.
She was really good.
That movie just got like totally sidelined too.
It
It
did.
didn't get promoted really well. Got kind of
Well, no,
critically
because
defeated.
everybody was so busy making fun of Twilight still when it came out.
Which was a shame. They did good. I mean, Cherie and Joan became like friends again, and like really worked with those girls and like
You could
coached
tell.
them. Like,
Yeah.
and they did their good. They re-recorded those songs.
Mm-hmm.
There is a movie that pulled off the live performances.
Yeah.
Oh, God did it.
Why couldn't they do that with the Dirt? It makes no fucking sense.
Do you know what movie pulled it off better than any?
What's that?
CBGB.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that
That was
one. I
great.
wanted to watch
Oh
that. I
my.
forgot about it.
Fucking God, it's good.
Yeah.
But did you
Alan Rickman is so perfect in that movie.
Yeah, he really is.
Oh
I
my
all about
God.
that movie. I can't believe it.
I mean, I don't know if you. I mean, I know there's been talk about the live performances in the Dirt, but did anybody think maybe that's just kind of what the idea was, like to kind of make it look goofy,
Maybe
kind of make it comedic, like the whole idea of what their lives were, like just these goofy morons who can't keep their shit
Could've been.
together.
I mean, I
It
didn't
might-
really,
maybe.
I didn't really notice
It just
it
seemed
until
like it was-
Chris mentioned it.
out of sync. It just seemed like really weird editing. Like
And
maybe
the
they
lip-
were great doing it live, but they just edited it really badly.
yeah.
Yeah, the lip syncing was terrible.
Oh
Terrible.
God, especially in the sound booth.
Oh yeah,
Oh
I
God,
remember
yeah.
that. I wasn't paying attention. I
it
guess,
was
to that
awful.
part.
Yeah,
I was
I picked
wa-
that stuff apart really bad though.
Well, what I
Because
thought
you're a
was
singer.
I know.
what I thought was funny is that all the actors who played the band members were all more attractive than the actual band members.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
show that cutaway at the end, like
Yeah.
where they have the
Where they're
real
all-
Motley Crue.
I
Especially
love.
the guy
God,
who played
those guys
Vince
look like
Neil.
Oh my
I
God,
was
the
like,
guy
they-
playing Vince Neil. It's just like tight and cut and like
Yeah,
like,
he's
perfect
like,
build.
and he like looked like when he was like he looked so like angelic when his daughter was dying. He looked like Kurt Cobain or something. And
Yeah.
like, it's not what Vince Neil looks like
ever.
ever.
He never
Yeah.
looked like that.
I
He
know.
always looked like somebody's child molester uncle.
Ugh, yeah, he's not.
And now he's fat and really looks like it.
Oh, it's bad.
He looks bad.
I love it when I see him with makeup on now.
I wouldn't like ever like be that way about anyone, but he looks
looks like
not
Divine
a good,
now, whatever.
He's not a good.
Oh.
Divine was beautiful.
Did that totally just come off?
It totally just came.
Oh my
out.
God, let's end the show.
All right, we're gonna end this show.
Good night.
That
All
was
right,
the
everybody.
no, that was like I said. I mean, if you haven't seen it yet, it's worth a watch.
It sure is.
worth a
It's
watch.
fun movie.
Whether you're a fan or not.
Yeah,
it's worth
because
a
I'm
watch.
not a fan, and I wasn't sure about watching it, and I kept hearing good things about it, and I finally just decided to watch it, and I was honestly happy I did.
The show is literally falling apart.
Yeah.
we better stop before something
We're gonna
else.
No,
Stop.
it's all good. Don't worry.
I think we're good.
All right,
Though.
Elvis.
Hey,
I've talked plenty about this movie now.
Yeah, I'm burnt.
Oh, yeah.
I have. Yeah. I talked about it for like 10 minutes the day I saw it,
Yeah.
and that combined with this is more than enough talking about the dirt.
Now Kickstarter My Heart's going to be stuck in my head for like another week.
Nope, not here.
No, let's just get shout at the devil.
I had hypnosis done to me when I was
much more
younger to
fun.
block all that stuff out. So I
Yeah.
don't have that problem. I actually paid a lot of money for a hypnotist to say just totally block out the entire Motley Crue discography out of my brain.
Wow.
Anytime. Yeah, that's great.
All right.
Worth
I got
every
a guy, I'll
penny.
give you a
That
card.
might
Yeah.
be worth the money. Yeah.
We'll be back next week with something. I don't know what yet.
Something
But
fun.
CBG.
thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Night night.
We're not going to talk about your mom next week.
I'm talking
We
about
might
Chris's
talk
mom.
about Chris's mom though.
That's right.
He's a liar.
Bye.
Visit us at www.themoviesleuth.com and find The Movie Sleuth on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and iTunes.